Have you ever felt completely alone, as if the universe had paused just for you? The chosen are not ordinary people. They are souls specially prepared for extraordinary missions. And this preparation rarely happens in the midst of noise, crowds, or social expectations. God has a unique method of shaping his spiritual warriors: isolation. It is not punishment. It is a divine laboratory where he transforms lives, redesigns destinies, and prepares instruments for grand purposes. Every great spiritual leader has gone through this process. Moses in the desert, David in the caves, Paul in moments of reflection, Jesus in the 40 days of trial. Isolation is not absence, it is intense presence. When the world seems to be silent, that's when God speaks the most. When everything seems still, that's when more happens internally. The chosen understand that this time is not empty, it is pregnant with meaning. Many interpret isolation as rejection, but the true chosen recognize it as a special calling. It is the moment where God separates, restores, gives new meaning, and prepares for something great. In this video, we will unravel the 7 mysterious reasons why God isolates his chosen. Prepare yourself for a journey of revelations that can completely transform your understanding of difficult moments. If you feel that you are going through a period of isolation, wondering why, this video was made especially for you. Each word will be a balm for your restless soul. Silence your doubts, open your heart. Let's discover together the divine purpose behind your current moment. God never abandons you, he always prepares you. Want to discover the 7 reasons? Keep watching and get ready for a transforming revelation. Imagine your life as a confusing painting, full of colors that don't make sense. Suddenly, God picks up his brush and begins to rearrange each stroke, each hue of your existence. The noise of the world suffocates important whispers. When everything is hectic, we lose the ability to listen to our true essence. Isolation emerges as a sacred space of silence and clarity. Perspective is not just seeing, but understanding. It's like changing the angle in a photograph and discovering details that were always there, but went unnoticed in the daily rush. Elijah, one of the great prophets, experienced this transformation. Hidden in the cave, he believed he was alone, that his mission was over. But God took him to that place to show him a completely different reality. Many times we feel lost, thinking that our dreams have died. It is precisely at this moment that God whispers, "Look again." Not everything is as it seems. He invites us to see beyond the obvious. Isolation is not absence, it is intense presence. It's like a zoom on the camera of your life, focusing on details that previously went unnoticed. God amplifies your vision, revealing dormant potentials. Your challenges gain new meanings. That situation that seemed like a failure can be the springboard for your greatest achievement. It all depends on the perspective with which you look. God uses silence to recalibrate your vision. Like an ophthalmologist adjusting lenses, he realigns your focus, your understanding, your dreams. You begin to see with the eyes of purpose, not just of circumstance. The change of perspective is a divine gift. It doesn't happen by chance, but by a loving direction. God takes you out of the noise so that you can finally listen to your true calling. Your current moment is not a mistake. It is an invitation to see differently. Each chosen one goes through this recalibration. This moment where everything seems still, but internally is being completely transformed. Allow yourself to be surprised. Let God redesign your vision. Your eyes need to be cleansed of the dust of human expectations to see the true divine purpose. Perspective changes when we allow God to be our guide. Don't be afraid of silence. It is the laboratory where your dreams will gain a new dimension. Dependence is not weakness. It is recognizing that alone we are limited, but connected with the divine, we become infinitely powerful. God uses isolation as a special classroom for the chosen. Imagine yourself as an athlete in intensive training. Before conquering great victories, you need to develop internal muscles of resistance, focus, and confidence. Dependence on God works exactly like that. Humans have the dangerous habit of placing expectations on people. We seek approval, direction, validation in relationships, jobs, external opinions. But God needs to show us that He is the only true source of sustenance. The desert is not just a geographical place. It is an internal state of dispossession, where all external supports are removed. Moses spent 40 years learning that his strength did not come from titles or abilities, but from God. David, before being king, spent years hidden in caves. Each moment of solitude was a profound lesson. He had no army, no power. He had nothing but the divine promise, and that promise was enough. Jesus, being divine, also went through the process of dependence. 40 days in the desert, alone, facing temptations. He did not use his divinity, but depended completely on the Father. A perfect example of total surrender. Dependence does not mean passivity. It is an active positioning of recognizing that our strength comes from a superior source. Like a plant that needs to be connected to the root to grow, the chosen need to be connected with God. Moments of apparent solitude are actually moments of deep connection. When all external crutches are removed, we discover an inner strength that has always been there, waiting to be awakened. God uses isolation to uninstall artificial support systems. Relationships, jobs, material achievements can be removed to show that your essence does not depend on these external structures. Learning to depend means developing a radical intimacy. It is not just praying for something, but creating a constant dialogue, a fine-tuning with the divine. Each breath becomes a declaration of trust. The chosen understand that dependence is a process of refinement. Like the goldsmith who heats the metal to remove impurities, God uses isolation to purify our source of trust. Your journey of dependence is unique. There is no one-size-fits-all model, but a personal call to recognize that your strength comes from a divine and inexhaustible source. Trusting does not mean not acting. It means acting from a deep connection, knowing that each step is guided by an intelligence superior to our limited understanding. Isolation reveals who we really are when all the spotlights go out. It is at that moment that we discover an inner strength that transcends any human expectation. God does not leave you alone. He puts you in a process of intimacy where you learn that your true strength does not come from outside, but from your connection with the divine. Each chosen one has a unique story, but they all share a common element: divine preparation. There is no chance in the journey of those who have been called by God. Each moment, each challenge, each silence is a brick in the construction of your purpose. Preparation is not passive waiting. It is an active process of internal transformation. Like a sculptor who removes each piece of marble to reveal the hidden masterpiece, God works meticulously on every detail of your life. Imagine yourself as an Olympic athlete. Before the big competition, you spend years in intense training. No one sees you behind the scenes, but every second of preparation will be crucial for the moment of victory. Your spiritual journey follows the same principle. The invisible is more real than the apparent. While you feel stagnant, God is weaving connections, aligning circumstances, preparing the ground for something that your limited mind cannot yet comprehend. Spiritual maturity does not happen overnight. It is a process of constant refinement. Like a plant that needs time to develop deep roots before bearing fruit, you are being prepared to bear the weight of your mission. Each cycle of isolation has a specific function. Some need to develop resilience, others need to heal old wounds. Some need to completely redesign their perspective. God personalizes the process for each chosen one. Direction does not mean having all the answers. It means trusting the process, even when nothing makes sense. It's like following a map where only a few points are visible, but you trust the navigator. Strengthening is not just spiritual muscle growth. It is developing an internal shield capable of withstanding pressures that will come. God does not prepare you for an easy battle, but for a profound transformation that will impact generations. Your current moment is a divine laboratory. Each challenge is an experiment, each difficulty an opportunity for learning. What seems to be a sterile period is actually the most fertile moment of your journey. Purpose is not something that is found, but something that is developed. Just as a diamond needs to be polished to reveal its brilliance, you are being molded to reveal the glory of God in a unique and extraordinary way. Divine preparation transcends your current understanding. What you see as interruption, God sees as introduction. What seems to be an end is actually a new and absolutely revolutionary beginning. Growth is not linear. There will be moments of apparent stagnation, followed by quantum leaps of evolution. Trust the process, even when you cannot visualize the final result. Each chosen one has a specific calling. Some will be leaders, others will be intercessors, some will be silent transformers. The preparation is personalized, but the principle is the same: total surrender to the divine purpose. The time of isolation is a gift in disguise. While the outside world seems still, your inner world is in turmoil. Deep transformations are happening in layers that you cannot yet perceive. God does not waste experiences. Every moment of apparent emptiness will be transformed into fuel for your mission. What the enemy planned to bring you down, God will use to elevate you to unimaginable levels. Your preparation is sacred. Do not compare your journey with that of others. Each chosen one has a unique path, designed with divine precision to fulfill a purpose that only you can accomplish. Not every connection is healthy. Some relationships are like weeds that suffocate the garden of your purpose. God acts as a celestial gardener, removing what hinders your spiritual growth. Negative influences are subtle. They can come from people close to you, seemingly harmless environments, or crystallized thought patterns. They are like slow poisons that compromise your energy and spiritual direction. Imagine your soul as a sanctuary. Not everyone is allowed to enter. God establishes invisible boundaries to protect your calling, your essence, your deepest purpose. Isolation functions as a divine filter. Toxic relationships drain more than energy. They consume dreams, hijack potentials, limit perspectives. Some people are experts at turning your wings into chains, preventing your spiritual flight. Distancing does not always mean rejection. Often, it represents an act of divine love. Like a father who protects his child from dangerous influences, God strategically removes what can lead you astray. Habits can be more destructive than people. Repetitive patterns of thought, behaviors that imprison you, choices that distance you from your purpose. Isolation allows for a complete detoxification. Your spiritual journey requires discernment. Not everything that seems good is beneficial. Some friendships are like rear-view mirrors. They need to be left behind for you to move forward. God does not operate by chance. Each person who leaves your life leaves space for something better. The emptiness is not punishment. It is preparation. It is the moment to recalibrate your connections, your values, your essence. Divine protection works in layers. First, He removes. Then silently, He prepares new environments, new connections aligned with your purpose. Each exit is a strategic entry. Environments have energy. Some elevate you, others lower you. God is an expert at removing you from spaces that suffocate your light. leading you to territories of growth and fulfillment. Temporary solitude is a gift. It allows you to hear your own voice without external noise. It is when we discover who we really are, away from expectations and social pressures. Your protection does not mean permanent isolation. It is a period of recharging, realignment, restoration. Like a ship that needs maintenance before great missions, you are being prepared. Connection criteria change when you evolve spiritually. What once seemed acceptable now becomes incompatible. God expands your perception, allowing for more conscious and aligned choices. Silence does not mean absence. It is concentrated presence, like a deep lake, seemingly still, but full of life in its entrails. Your connection with God gains depth in the seemingly empty moments. True communion requires vulnerability. Not beautiful words, but exposed wounds, shared dreams, declared fears. God wants your authenticity, not your religious performance. Each chosen one has a particular desert, a place where all external securities are removed. There, stripped of expectations, you find the true source of your existence. Connection is not about quantity, but quality. 1 minute of genuine presence is worth more than hours of empty rituals. God values your heart, not your spiritual eloquence. Your divine intimacy is a sacred territory. It does not need to be compared, measured, or validated externally. It is a personal, unique dialogue built in layers of trust and surrender. Isolation reveals thirst for meaning, for purpose, for genuine connection. When everything is silent, your soul cries out for something beyond the superficial, beyond the momentary. God is not distant. He is waiting. Like a patient father, He awaits the moment when you decide to stop, breathe, look inside. Your search is the invitation He awaits. Celestial intimacy transforms, not only spiritually, but in all dimensions. Your way of seeing, feeling, reacting to the world will be completely resignified by this deep connection. Each moment of silence is a blank page, an opportunity to write a love story with the divine. Without haste, without demands, only surrender and listening. Allow yourself to be loved in your totality, without masks, without performances. Your isolation is a call to an intimacy that transcends any human understanding. The true revolution happens behind the scenes of silence. Where no one sees, God transforms. Your intimate connection will be the fuel for your future mission. Refinement is not destruction. It is revelation. Like a goldsmith who transforms raw metal into a precious jewel, God works meticulously on your essence, removing impurities, polishing your true nature. Each chosen one goes through a spiritual forge. Challenges are the hammers. Difficulties are the flames that purify. It is not a comfortable process, but absolutely necessary for your transformation. Imagine yourself as a sword being forged. It needs to be heated until red hot, shaped with precision, cooled strategically. Each blow seems like an aggression, but in reality, it is an act of creating resistance. Character is not built on sunny days. It develops in the darkest nights, in moments where everything seems to crumble. Your resilience is born not from the absence of problems, but from the way you face them. God does not produce fragile soldiers. He forms spiritual warriors capable of facing storms, dismantling old structures, building new territories of hope and transformation. Each cycle of trial has a specific purpose. Some need to develop patience, others need to learn to trust, some need to unlearn limiting patterns. The refinement is personalized. Strengthening does not mean absence of vulnerability. It means having the courage to be authentic even when everything seems to crumble. Your true strength is born from the ability to rebuild yourself. The greatest battles happen internally. While the external world seems in chaos, your soul is being redesigned, recalibrated, prepared for missions that transcend your current understanding. Difficulties are teachers in disguise. Each obstacle carries a lesson. Not everything that seems to be a barrier is a blockage. Often they are portals to higher levels of understanding. Your transformation is not linear. There will be moments of apparent regression, followed by quantum leaps of growth. Trust the process, even when you cannot visualize the final result. Isolation is a spiritual womb, a place where something new is generated, where your essence is protected while it develops. It is not a punishment, but an environment for the gestation of purposes. Each cycle of trial removes layers. Fears, insecurities, limiting patterns are dismantled. What seems to be destruction is actually a spiritual surgery of precision. God does not break you to humiliate you. He deconstructs to rebuild. Like an architect who renovates a structure, removing what is compromised to erect something stronger and more authentic. Your journey of strengthening is unique. What works for others may not be your path. Each chosen one goes through a personalized refinement, designed with love and divine precision. Resistance does not mean hardness. It means flexibility, the ability to adapt without losing your essence, like a tree that bends in the storm, but does not break. The refinement process reveals what already exists internally. God does not add value. He removes what prevents your true light from shining. Your mission is already within you. Each challenge is an invitation to grow, to trust, to surrender to a greater purpose. Do not fight the process. Dance with it. Your transformation will impact generations. What seems to be an individual moment of trial is actually a seismic movement that will redesign spiritual territories. Allow yourself to be molded. Not always the easiest path is the most transformative. Trust the celestial goldsmith who is preparing you to shine in an absolutely unique way. Moments of silence are the backstage of the greatest story that will be written. Each chosen one has a turning point, an instant where everything that seems stagnant explodes into extraordinary possibilities. The biblical story is full of examples. Elijah, after isolation, received a prophetic anointing that would transform generations. Moses left the desert not as a fugitive, but as the liberator of an entire people. David entered the caves as a persecuted young man and left as an anointed king. Jesus left the desert not defeated, but full of power to start the greatest spiritual movement in human history. Your current moment is not a final point. It is a powerful comma, a strategic pause before the most impressive chapter of your journey. What seems to be an end is actually a new beginning. Advancement does not mean just movement. It means complete transformation. You will not be the same person who entered this period of isolation. Each challenge, each silence, each tear will be transformed into fuel for purpose. God does not operate by chance. Every second of your isolation was calculated with millimeter precision. While the outside world seemed still, something great was being architected behind the celestial scenes. Your preparation has dimensions that transcend your current understanding. What you see as interruption, God sees as introduction. Each moment of apparent stagnation is actually a loading of spiritual energy. Prepare for an advancement that goes beyond your understanding. It will not be just a change, it will be a revolution. Your life will be the living testimony that God transforms deserts into fertile fields of fulfillment. The greatest movements begin in silence. Like a seed that germinates invisibly before sprouting, you are about to emerge transformed. Your journey of isolation will be the story that will inspire generations. Each chosen one has a unique moment of eruption. There is no standard model, but a personalized divine orchestration. What worked for others will be completely different for you. Your advancement will be as unique as your journey. Do not compare your transformation with anyone. God is preparing something so special that not even your greatest dreams could imagine. The eve of transformation is marked by a peace that surpasses understanding. It is not absence of doubts, but presence of an unwavering trust. You know in your heart that something great is coming.